What if the connections we form aren't bound by what we can see or touch? What if they reach beyond the limits of our world, beyond the edges of what we know? Imagine meeting someone who's not just from a different place but from a completely different world, someone who has never felt the depth of love, pain, or joy as we do. What if their quest to understand these emotions brought them to you? In this story, we dive into the lives of Ethan and Lyra, two beings from entirely different realms, whose paths cross in the most extraordinary of circumstances. Lyra, an alien from a distant planet, arrives on Earth with a single mission: to learn about the emotions that shape human life. As she explores, she begins to experience feelings for the very first time, discovering not just what it means to feel, but what it truly means to connect. But every journey has its turning point. As Lyra uncovers the beauty and complexity of human emotion, she faces a heartbreaking realization: her mission is complete, and the time has come to return home. The bond that has formed between her and Ethan runs deeper than either of them could have imagined, but can a connection like theirs survive when two worlds are so far apart? This isn't just a story about love, it's about the connections that change us, the emotions that shape our lives, and how a single relationship can bridge the impossible. A tale of discovery, loss, and the undeniable power of the human heart, even if that heart isn't from this world. A dark, mysterious forest. The night air is thick with silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of unseen creatures. The moon hangs high, casting pale light through the dense canopy of ancient trees. Their twisted branches stretched like skeletal hands, casting eerie shadows on the forest floor. There's an unnatural stillness, a feeling that something is about to change. Suddenly, a strange, glowing object streaks across the sky. It moves with an impossible speed, leaving behind a trail of shimmering stardust. The object is a spaceship, unlike anything seen before. Its surface is sleek, smooth, and metallic, reflecting the pale light of the moon, yet glowing with a faint, otherworldly pulse. It cuts through the atmosphere, its shape streamlined and alien. A hum fills the air, growing louder, reverberating in the depths of the trees. The sound of the ship's engines slows, a deep, resonating whine before the ship crashes to the earth. A soft hiss escapes from the vessel as it lands in the heart of the forest. The impact causes the trees nearby to tremble, their leaves quivering as if responding to an ancient, unknown force. For a moment, there is nothing but the stillness of the night. Then, a soft, ethereal glow begins to spill from the ship, illuminating the dark forest in hues of violet and cobalt blue. The light spreads outward, like the fingers of a hand, touching the trunks of the trees and making them shimmer with an unnatural, almost magical glow. Out of the ship steps Lyra. She is tall and graceful, her figure slender yet imposing, as though she moves with an elegant, predestined purpose. Her skin is unlike anything human, a translucent shimmer that catches the light, making it seem as though she is made of starlight itself. Her eyes, large and luminous, glow with a soft blue hue, radiating an almost hypnotic calm. Her outfit is metallic, smooth, and reflective, shifting in color to match the night sky above, dark, glimmering with faint traces of constellations across her silhouette. Lyra pauses, her delicate features soft with contemplation. She inhales the air, her senses awakening to the strange environment around her. The air is dense, humid, and charged with energy so different from her home planet. Her feet make no sound as she steps forward, the ground beneath her glowing faintly with each movement, as though it responds to her presence. She looks around slowly, taking in the forest, her glowing eyes sweeping across the dark landscape. Her hand rises slightly, fingers almost brushing the air, as if she's testing it, feeling the pulse of the planet beneath her fingertips. Lyra, thinking. Earth? This is where the beacon led me. I must find them. Her voice is a whisper in her mind, yet it seems to echo with a resonance that ripples through the space around her. Her mission is clear. She has come for something important, something beyond the stars that brought her here. She steps forward again, the ground beneath her feet glowing faintly in response to her movements. Her journey through the forest is slow, deliberate, as if each step is both a discovery and an invitation. She moves with the grace of someone who has traveled across the cosmos, yet carries the weight of an unknown purpose. The air hums with an ancient energy, the trees seeming to sway with a soft, windless motion as if they, too, recognize her arrival. Her eyes flicker toward the sky, and for a brief moment, it seems as though the stars themselves are shifting, guiding her forward. A small suburban town, nestled at the edge of the forest. The streets are quiet, with only the distant hum of traffic breaking the night's stillness. Ethan, a young man in his mid-20s, walks slowly along a dimly lit street, his body exhausted from the long hours at the local diner. His shoulders slump, and his eyes struggle to stay open as he trudges home, the weight of the world on his tired mind. The only sounds are the occasional creak of the trees swaying in the night wind. As Ethan approaches the forest edge, he pauses. He notices something strange, soft blue glow cutting through the darkness, faint but noticeable. It catches his eye immediately, its color so unnatural against the pitch-black backdrop of the trees. Ethan, to himself. What the hell is that? He squints, trying to make sense of the light, unsure if his fatigue is playing tricks on him. The glow seems almost alive, pulsing gently in rhythm with his heartbeat. Intrigued, Ethan steps off the path and makes his way toward the source of the light, his feet crunching softly on the dry leaves beneath him. As he draws closer, the forest around him falls unnervingly silent. The usual sounds of crickets and rustling leaves seem to disappear, as if the entire world is holding its breath. The air grows heavier, charged with an unfamiliar energy, and an odd sense of calm settles over him. Ethan's heart quickens, the quiet only deepening his unease. There, in a small clearing bathed in a soft, otherworldly glow, stands Lyra. She is still, like a figure out of a dream, staring up at the night sky. Her eyes, glowing softly, reflect the stars above, an eerie yet beautiful sight. The forest around her seems to bend slightly, as if the trees themselves are drawn toward her presence. Her form is delicate, ethereal, and striking in its otherness. She doesn't belong here, not in this world, yet there is something incredibly soothing about her presence. She radiates an aura of peace, yet carries an undeniable sense of mystery. Ethan. Hello. Lyra's head turns slowly at the sound of his voice, her glowing eyes locking onto him with an intensity that sends a shiver down Ethan's spine. There's an unspoken understanding in the way she looks at him, like she's known him for far longer than he could imagine. Her lips move, but the words that leave her mouth are foreign, musical, and strange, a language that feels ancient, almost sacred. Lyra. Greetings, Earthling. I am Lyra. I come in search of connection. Her voice is soft, yet it carries an underlying power, gentle yet commanding. It is unlike any human voice, but somehow, Ethan understands her perfectly, the meaning of her words flowing into him as if they've always been a part of his mind. Ethan, frowning, still processing. Connection? What do you mean? Are you lost? Lyra steps forward, her movements fluid and deliberate. She looks down at her feet, her skin shimmering with each step, and then gazes back at Ethan, as if weighing him. Her eyes soften as she speaks again. Lyra. I have traveled across the stars to find a bond. A way to understand your world. My people, we cannot feel what you feel. I need to learn. Her words are so simple, yet they carry an immense weight. Ethan stands frozen for a moment, struggling to comprehend the gravity of what she's just said. His mind races, trying to understand this strange encounter. Ethan, confused and cautious. Wait, you're saying you're not from here? You're not human. Lyra's gaze lingers on him for a moment longer before she nods slightly, her eyes filled with an almost imperceptible sadness. Lyra. No, I am not from here. I am from a place beyond your world. We are beings who live without connection, without the emotions that shape your lives. I seek to understand what you feel. What makes your world so different from mine? Ethan stands there, his confusion growing, but there's something in Lyra's tone that is so sincere, so genuine, that he can't help but feel compelled to listen. She's not threatening, there's no malice in her voice, only a deep, aching curiosity. Ethan, stumbling over his words. You want to feel what I feel? But, why me? Lyra's eyes narrow slightly as if she's searching for the right words. Lyra. It is not just you. It is all of you, your people. But I have come to this place, to this moment, because I believe you might understand. The emotions you experience, love, joy, pain, fear, they are all so complex, so powerful. My people are distant from these things. I must learn them. I must find the connection. Ethan stares at her, his mind spinning. There's a long, heavy pause as the sounds of the forest slowly begin to return, the stillness lifting slightly. He feels a strange pull, like the air between them has thickened, charged with an unspoken understanding. Ethan, quietly, almost to himself. I don't know what to say. Lyra takes a slow step toward him, her form illuminated by the soft glow emanating from her body. Her expression softens, almost in reassurance. Lyra. You do not need to say anything. I only need to learn, and perhaps you can help me. A quiet suburban street, nestled between towering trees and rolling hills. The air is cool, carrying the scent of earth and night flowers. The sun has long since dipped below the horizon, and the moon now casts a silver glow over the scene. Ethan, still struggling to understand the strange events unfolding, walks beside Lyra, guiding her through the forest back toward his home. She seems entirely unbothered by the unfamiliar terrain, her steps graceful, her eyes taking in everything as if the world is an uncharted territory filled with wonder. As they walk, Lyra's fingers brush against the rough bark of a tree, and she pauses for a moment, marveling at the sensation. The tree shivers lightly beneath her touch, as if recognizing her presence. She leans in closer, touching the leaves, feeling their texture as if it's the first time she's ever truly understood what it means to feel. Lyra, softly, almost to herself. Such strange, delicate things, trees, grass, the very air. It feels alive in a way I cannot explain. Her voice carries an otherworldly timbre, but it is full of awe, fascination, and curiosity. Each new sensation she experiences is like an awakening, and it seems as though she is learning to connect with the world around her for the very first time. Ethan glances at her, feeling the strangeness of it all but also a deep, unspoken pull. It's as if her wonder is infectious, and for a brief moment, he sees the world through her eyes. Everything is fresh, every leaf, every star, every sound. They arrive at Ethan's house, a modest two-story building with a porch that overlooks a small, peaceful garden. The warm glow from inside seeps through the windows, but outside, the world is quiet and serene. Ethan motions for Lyra to sit on the porch swing, which creaks gently as she settles onto it. She tilts her head back, gazing up at the stars as though they are both familiar and new to her. The soft glow from her body illuminates her surroundings, making the night air shimmer in a soft, ethereal light. Ethan takes a seat next to her, his eyes not leaving her for a moment. He watches her closely, sensing something profound in her presence. She's not just a traveler from another world, she's a being, a consciousness, looking for something she doesn't quite understand. And he, sitting beside her, feels like he might be a part of it. Ethan, tentatively. So, you come from another planet? Lyra's eyes meet his, and her gaze is calm but intense. She doesn't speak immediately, but instead, she seems to search him for understanding, her glowing eyes reflecting the stars above as she contemplates how to explain. Lyra. Indeed. My people lived in harmony with the stars. We have no need for the things you cherish here, no fear, no love, no joy. We are bound to the universe in a way that is complete. Yet, there is a void inside us, a lack of connection to others. A coldness that we cannot ignore. She pauses, as if trying to find the right words to convey a deep, ancient truth she's only now beginning to understand herself. Lyra. We have no emotions as you do. We live in balance, but it is an empty balance. I was sent here to understand, to find what we are missing. The warmth. The fire that drives you. The connections between hearts, between lives. Ethan listens, his gaze fixed on Lyra, and the weight of her words settles deep inside him. He doesn't know how to respond, doesn't know if he can offer what she's asking for. But something in her voice pulls him in, something profound and raw that makes him want to help her, even if he doesn't understand it fully. Lyra's eyes shift back to the stars, her expression distant, lost in the vastness of the sky above. It's as though she's searching for something, looking for answers in the constellations themselves. Ethan sits in silence, watching her, trying to process what he's just heard. He doesn't have the answers she seeks, but something in him stirs a feeling of wanting to reach out, to teach her what it means to truly live. Ethan, after a long pause. I don't know if I can help you with that. I'm just a regular guy. Lyra turns her head slowly to look at him, her expression gentle, but there's an undeniable depth in her eyes. She reaches out and places a hand on his, her touch light but electric, sending a wave of warmth through his body. She holds his gaze with an intensity that makes his heart race. Lyra. You are more than you think. You are capable of love, of pain, of joy. My people, they have forgotten these feelings. They do not understand what it means to feel loss, to feel the warmth of another. Can you teach me? Can you help me feel these things? Her voice trembles slightly at the end, not with fear, but with longing, a longing to experience the full spectrum of emotions, to understand what makes humans so beautifully complex. Ethan feels a strange weight in his chest, as if her question reaches into his very soul. There's something magnetic about her, something beyond just curiosity or physical attraction. It's as if she has opened a door inside him, and he's not sure if he's ready to walk through it. Ethan looks into her glowing eyes, his breath caught in his throat. There's something profound about this moment, a realization that what they are experiencing is unlike anything he's ever known. She's not just asking for knowledge, she's asking for something much deeper. She's asking for connection, for understanding, and for the warmth of emotions that she has never known. Ethan, softly. Maybe I can teach you. I don't know how, but I'll try. Lyra's face lights up with the smallest of smiles, her eyes softening as she looks at him, a silent thank you passing between them. For a moment, the world around them seems to disappear, the night sky, the stars, the cool air. Everything fades except for the space between them, where something delicate and powerful is beginning to bloom. And in that moment, Ethan realizes that this strange encounter, this mysterious connection, is only the beginning of something far greater than he could have ever imagined. The quiet town of Oak Ridge, nestled by a shimmering lake surrounded by tall, wild grasses. The evening sky glows with soft pinks and oranges as the sun begins to dip below the horizon. The air is cool, and a gentle breeze stirs the trees, making the world feel alive with sound and movement. Ethan and Lyra sit on the edge of the lake, the surface of the water reflecting the colors of the sunset like a mirror. There is a peaceful stillness around them, but also a sense of anticipation of something new unfolding between them. For the past few days, Lyra and Ethan have spent much of their time together, walking through the town, visiting quiet corners of nature, and sharing the beauty of the world with Lyra. She has been learning, slowly but surely, to understand the emotions that humans experience. She watches the people around her with a mix of curiosity and fascination, observing their reactions to joy, pain, love, and sadness. It is all new to her, like a beautiful, uncharted territory that she is now eager to explore. Tonight, as they sit by the lake, Lyra watches the water ripple in the evening light, her expression thoughtful. She has been quiet for some time, her gaze moving between Ethan and the stars above. Ethan looks at her, his eyes gentle, noticing the subtle changes in her demeanor. She is no longer the alien he first met, distant and unknowable. She has become someone different, someone who is beginning to grasp the depth of human feeling. Lyra, when you look at the stars, what do you feel? Ethan is taken aback by the question. He looks up at the vastness of the sky, the stars scattered across the darkening canvas like diamonds. He pauses for a moment, his thoughts drifting. Ethan, I feel small, but also part of something bigger. It's like the universe is connected, you know. I guess we all are. Lyra listens intently, her glowing eyes fixed on him as she tries to absorb his words. She tilts her head slightly, as if the concept is just out of reach, but something inside her is beginning to stir. Her eyes flicker with the faintest spark of understanding, as though she's slowly beginning to comprehend what Ethan is saying. Lyra, softly. I never understood. I never felt what you just described. But now, I think I do. Her voice trembles slightly, filled with wonder. Ethan watches her carefully, his heart swelling with a mixture of admiration and warmth. He can see the transformation in her. She's not just an observer anymore, she's becoming a part of the world she once couldn't understand. She's beginning to feel. And that, in itself, is a kind of magic. Lyra's gaze shifts back to the stars, her eyes wide, as though seeing them for the first time. The night feels different to her now, more vibrant, more full of meaning. She turns her face toward the wind, letting it wash over her hair catching in the breeze. She looks at Ethan with a smile, a small, but genuine expression of gratitude. Lyra, it's beautiful, isn't it? To feel so small, yet so connected. The wind, the stars, the water, it's all part of something bigger. Ethan smiles, his heart lightening as he sees the spark of realization in her eyes. There's something in her expression that tells him that she's not just learning, she's beginning to experience the world in the same way he does. He feels a deep responsibility for her now, as if his task is not only to help her learn but to help her discover what it means to live, truly live. They sit in silence for a while, listening to the water lap against the shore, the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze, the occasional call of a distant bird. There is peace here, a peace that feels timeless. Ethan feels the weight of the moment, the weight of what they are sharing. This isn't just an alien learning about Earth. It's more than that. It's a connection, a bond that is growing between them, forged in shared understanding and quiet moments. Lyra's voice breaks the silence again, soft and reflective. Lyra, I think I'm starting to understand why you care so much about these things. These feelings, these connections, they are not just fleeting. They are what give life meaning. Without them, there would be nothing. Ethan looks at her, touched by her words. He realizes, in that moment, how much she has already changed. She's not just an alien seeking to understand humans, she's becoming someone who values what it means to feel, to be part of something bigger, to be connected to others. Ethan's hand brushes against hers by accident, and for the briefest moment, their fingers touch. There's a spark of energy, something almost electric that passes between them. Lyra looks at him, her expression deep and contemplative, and for the first time, Ethan sees something more than just curiosity in her eyes. He sees a reflection of his own feelings of admiration, of understanding, of something growing that neither of them can explain. They sit there for a long time, the stars overhead, the breeze around them, the water stretching out before them. It is a moment of connection, a quiet understanding of the power of emotions and the beauty of being alive. In this peaceful, still moment, they are no longer teacher and student, alien and human. They are two beings, sharing a bond that transcends worlds. The air is still, and the night feels thick with silence. The moon is high, casting its soft light over the world. The stars twinkle brightly, as if inviting Lyra to understand their hidden meanings. She sits alone, perched on a large stone near the edge of a small clearing, gazing up at the night sky. Her eyes reflect the constellations above, her face serene, yet there is an unmistakable sense of deep contemplation in her expression. Her body emits a faint, ethereal glow, making her look almost like an apparition. Ethan approaches quietly, sensing that she is lost in thought. He stops a few paces away, watching her, unsure of what to say. He has come to care for her deeply, and yet there's a growing fear that something is about to change, something he's not prepared for. He watches the way she sits, her posture elegant and composed, but there's a tension in the air, a kind of finality. Lyra doesn't turn to him right away. She continues to stare at the stars, her gaze almost hypnotic. Finally, after a long pause, she speaks in a voice soft yet heavy with understanding. Lyra. I feel it, Ethan. The love. The pain. It's all here, inside me now. I understand why it's so important. Why it makes you who you are. She pauses, her voice faltering slightly as if she is afraid of the truth she must say next. Lyra. But I also understand why I can't stay. Ethan's heart skips a beat, and he feels a cold shiver run down his spine. Her words sink in slowly, but the weight of them hits him hard, like a sudden blow. Ethan, shocked, his voice trembling. What do you mean? You're leaving? Lyra turns her head slightly, her glowing eyes meeting his. There's a deep sadness in them, but also a quiet resolve. She takes a slow, deliberate breath, her gaze never leaving his as she speaks, each word carefully chosen. Lyra. I came to Earth to learn, to feel, but now that I've experienced it, I realize I must return to my people. They need to feel this, too. They need to understand the connection, the bond you speak of. Without it, they remain empty. Ethan stands frozen for a moment, the pain of her words sinking into his chest. His pulse quickens, and his breath catches in his throat. He can feel it, this connection they have built, this fragile but real bond between them, it's slipping away, and he doesn't know how to stop it. The thought of losing her is unbearable. Ethan. You can't just go. You've changed. I've changed. We can't just forget this. Forget us. Lyra's expression softens, but she shakes her head slowly, as if she already knows the inevitable truth. She steps closer to him, her presence soothing yet distant. Lyra. Ethan. What we've shared, the connection we've built, will never disappear. But I must go. My people need me. They need to feel what I've learned, what you've shown me. I cannot stay here, for I was never meant to. Her words hang in the air, heavy with finality. Ethan feels as though the ground beneath him is shifting, and the weight of her departure is crushing him. He wants to protest, to beg her to stay, but the words escape him. He knows deep down that she has a mission, a purpose beyond what he could ever offer her. Lyra takes one last, lingering look at him, and for a moment, their eyes lock. There's a deep understanding between them, an acknowledgement of the profound journey they've shared together. It's more than just emotions, it's a cosmic connection that defies logic, one that transcends time and space. The clearing where Lyra first arrived, bathed in the pale light of the stars and the soft glow of the spaceship. The ship stands ready to leave, its sleek metallic surface shimmering in the night, reflecting the light of the stars above. Its engines hum softly, waiting, preparing for the journey back to the unknown. The air feels thick with energy, and the world seems to hold its breath, as if acknowledging the departure of someone important. Lyra stands near the ship, her glowing skin dimming as she prepares to leave. The calm aura she has carried with her throughout her time on Earth is now tinged with sadness, but there is also a quiet peace in her demeanor. She faces the ship, but her thoughts are still with Ethan, who walks up slowly, his footsteps almost inaudible in the stillness of the night. Ethan stops just a few feet away from her, the sadness in his eyes evident. But despite the sorrow, there's a sense of understanding in his gaze. He knows that this is the right thing for her, even if it feels like his heart is breaking. Ethan, softly, his voice heavy. Will I ever see you again? Lyra turns to him, her eyes glowing softly in the night, reflecting the weight of his question. She places a gentle hand on his arm, the warmth of her touch sending a ripple of energy through him. She smiles, a bittersweet expression that speaks volumes of what they've shared. Lyra. Perhaps. But even if we never meet again, the connection we shared will remain. You've given me something I never thought possible. You've made me feel, truly feel, Ethan. I'll carry it with me, wherever I go. Lyra's words are soft, yet they carry an incredible weight. They've both changed, in ways neither of them fully understands. Ethan feels the enormity of her touch, like the entire universe rests in that brief connection. For a moment, there is only the sound of the wind rustling the trees and the hum of the ship in the background. Ethan stands there, frozen in time, not knowing what to say. He feels the weight of the moment pressing in on him, the finality of her departure sinking in. Lyra steps back, turning toward the ship, her form beginning to blur with the light of the vessel. She looks back at Ethan, her eyes glowing brighter now, the last glimpse of their shared connection flickering between them. Lyra, softly, almost a whisper. Goodbye, Ethan. The ship lifts into the air, rising slowly, gracefully, as if it were a bird taking flight. Lyra looks down at Ethan one last time, her gaze lingering on him. The ship moves higher, its light fading into the night sky, becoming one with the stars. And just like that, she's gone. Ethan stands in the clearing, alone. His eyes are locked on the sky, where the ship once was, but now there's only the vast expanse of stars above. He doesn't know when or if he'll see her again, but he knows that a part of her will always be with him. Voice over, Ethan. Sometimes, the connections we make are not of this world. But they are the ones that change us the most. As the last faint trace of light from the ship disappears, Ethan turns and walks away, the weight of the universe on his shoulders, but with a quiet hope in his heart, knowing that the bond they shared will never fade. As we bid farewell to Lyra, her departure is more than just a physical one. It's a profound change, one that marks a shift in both her and Ethan's lives. The connection they shared wasn't fleeting, it transcended time and space. It's a bond that will remain with them, even if their paths never cross again. Sometimes, the connections we make are not of this world, but those are the ones that change us the most. So, here's the question: how do we, as humans, understand and cherish the bonds we share with others? And what happens when those bonds challenge everything we think we know about love and connection? Take a moment and reflect. What if a connection like this could change your life? Share your thoughts below. Let's talk about the extraordinary ways love and connection can defy all expectations.